Alright, section 6.3 is on solving multi-step inequalities. You have solved inequalities with adding and subtracting, and you've done it with multiplication and division, and now we're going to put it all together and we're going to do multi-step inequalities. So we're going to solve these using more than one step. This is just like an equation, except now you have an inequality except instead of an equal sign. So same steps, we're trying to get y by itself. We gotta move the 5, do the opposite, so move it to the other side. And we have 2y is less than, this would be 12. And to get y all by itself, it's 2 times y, do the opposite, divide by 2. And our answer is y is less than 6. It is that simple. Here's another example. We're solving for x, so we want to get x by itself. First step is to move this guy on the other side. Do the opposite. Add the 3. So I have 5x is greater than or equal to 15. Last step, divide by 5. And our answer is that x is greater than or equal to 3. You are professionals. You got this. Let's move on to something a little bit more complicated. The only thing that changes when we're dealing with inequalities is that if we multiply or divide by a negative, we have to flip our sign, which we've talked about, but we'll go a little bit more in depth. If I'm solving for this x here, I need x by itself, so we need to move this 5. The 5 is positive, so we are going to subtract it to the other side. That's the opposite. So I'm left with negative x. Keep that negative with the x. They're together. Don't separate them. It is greater than, this is negative 1. Now, to get x completely by itself, to get rid of that negative, you're going to divide both sides by negative 1. If you ever multiply or divide by a negative, you must flip your sign. That's going to be the most important part. So since I divided by negative 1, I now flip my sign and flip the greater than sign to a less than sign. And negative 1 divided by negative 1 is a positive 1. So my answer is x is less than 1. So here's an example with a couple more steps than the last problem had. I have x's on both sides, so my first goal is I need to get the x's together. So I'm going to move this 4x over here with this 2x. So they cancel over here, and on the left side I have negative 2x, still have the minus 4, still greater than, and on this side I have a negative 1. Now I'm getting x by itself, so I need to move the 4. I'm going to add it to the other side. So I have negative 2x is greater than, this would be negative, a positive 3. Now last step is to divide both sides by negative 2 to get x by itself. And you see we divided by a negative number, so I need to flip my sign, and then my answer is, you can leave it as a fraction, negative 3/2. So anytime you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip your sign. That's the big important thing. Okay, last couple examples. We're going to talk about the number of solutions. You're going to see something weird is going to happen here. So let's say I have 14x plus 5 is less than 7 times the quantity 2x minus 3. So my first step to solve this is I need to distribute the 7. So I have, this side is the same, 14x plus 5 is less than, 7 times 2 would give me 14, and 7 times negative 3 would be negative 21. Now if I go to solve this for x, I want x's on both sides. So I'm going to move the 14x over with this 14x. And you'll see that 14 minus 14 gives me 0, and this side I also get 0, so my x's are gone. Write down what you have left over. I have a 5 less than negative 21. Now if this happens and I don't have any variables left, my variables are gone, and I have something that is not true. If I look at this, it says 5 is less than negative 21. Well, if you think about it, 5 is not less than negative 21, this number is less than. So this is not true. So that means there is no solution. That is your answer. There is no solution. So if your variables go away and you get something that's not true, your answer is no solution. Okay, so we could go to solve and something a little bit different happens. Let's say I have this inequality, 12x minus 1 is greater than 6 times the quantity 2x minus 1. So to solve this, I distribute my 6. The left-hand side is still the same. 12x minus 1 is greater than 6 times 2 would be 12. And 6 times negative 1 would be minus 6. Now if I go to solve this, again I want my x's together, so I'm going to subtract this x over here. And you see that they're both 0 again. So my variables go away again. If I write down what I have left over, I have negative 1 greater than negative 6. Now if I look at this, is negative 1 greater than negative 6? Well yeah, if I think about a number line, negative 6, negative 1 is bigger than negative 6 because it's less in the whole. So yes, this is true. Negative 1 is greater than negative 6. If that happens, your answer is infinite solutions. You might also see the answer all reals. Same thing. Either infinite solutions or all reals or all real numbers. You'll see those as answers. So if your variables go away and this is true, remember the other one was not true. This one was not true and it was no solution. If it is true, it's either infinite solutions or all reals. So I want you to go ahead and try these two problems. This one is like one of the first ones we solved. And this one, you'll either get no solution or infinite solutions.